Will more government subsidies sweeten the market or cause it to sour? Jack Roney is with the American Sugar Alliance. I spoke to him earlier as he broke down the current state of the global sugar market.
Well, it's a very depressed state because there are so many subsidies around the world, and so many countries are overproducing that they're dumping their surpluses on the world market for whatever price it would bring. And what is amazing right now is that the world sugar price is averaging less than half the world average cost of producing sugar. Now, that seems intuitively impossible to be the case, but the fact is that there is really relatively little sugar traded at that so-called world price, or we call it the world dump price, because it's just the dumping ground for surpluses that countries are generating. An example would be Brazil. Brazil is by far the world's biggest sugar exporter. They dominate the world sugar market like no other country dominates any other commodity. They control almost half of world exports of sugar. Saudi Arabia, for example, covers about 18 or 19% of oil exports. So Brazil has a huge role there. Now, is this because Brazil is a wonderfully efficient producer of sugar? Well, not really. I mean, they're pretty good at it, but they've had 30 years of subsidies for cane ethanol. And Brazil went from exporting a couple of million tons of sugar on the world market each year to exporting about 28 million. It really took off. And so what's unfortunate there is that we're not being dominated, the world market is not being dominated by a wonderfully efficient, unsubsidized producer. On the contrary, the Brazilian industry has existed on the basis of 30 years of cane ethanol subsidies, debt forgiveness, direct subsidies to farmers, and a myriad of other benefits for their producers.
And yet there are critics here in the United States who say if you want to look at a bipartisan issue here in Washington, it's sugar, that there are a number of sugar subsidies. You can find Republicans and Democrats in support of it. Is that because in order to survive, sugar producers in the United States have to have the subsidies then?
Yeah, well, there's no subsidy per se, Mike. We don't receive any checks from the government. All that we ask for from the government is a buffer against that subsidized sugar from abroad. So we do have some import quotas and tariffs in place just to provide that buffer. And what you find is there are about 120 countries that produce sugar around the world. Every one of them have some kind of program to defend their producers or their consumers. So what we are proposing and what we have supported on Capitol Hill is the notion that if foreign countries give up their sugar subsidies, all of them, we will give up ours. We will give up our U.S. sugar policy.
Though, is it? That's not likely, is it?
I'll confess it's not likely, but the point that we want to make is that if we want to be able to operate on a level playing field, we need to eliminate those foreign subsidies. Otherwise, what we're looking at is unilateral disarmament, that we give up our program, we give up our jobs in producing sugar for the benefit of foreign producers who continue to subsidize. And the point I want to make is that we are among the most efficient sugar producers in the world. People don't think that. It seems to be kind of counterintuitive that if we have import quotas, we're not efficient, and so that's why we need that. But in fact, we are among the lowest cost producers in the world, even while being very socially and environmentally responsible. So if we could have a level playing field where we eliminate all the foreign subsidies, we'd do fine. Our costs of production are below the world average, and we would be able to operate. But until then, we can't unilaterally disarm.
We just had Shweta's story from India. How is that likely to affect the global landscape? I mean, are we going to see it ratchet up on each part from other countries as well?
Yeah, India's had a huge effect because their production varies tremendously from year to year on basis mainly of government decisions, whether to subsidize the producers or subsidize the consumers. And we've seen India transform itself from a major importer of sugar to a major exporter. Just in the last few months, they've offered almost $1 billion in interest-free loans that will probably never be paid back. They've offered over $100 million worth of export subsidies to get their subsidies out, their surpluses out of India and onto this world dump market. So we're nowhere near that level playing field that we hope to see.